Hello, welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu, and on sign language is Precious or Zemene. We begin with the headlines. Magnitude earthquake hits southern Japan with minor tsunami waves lashing the coast. Judiciary in focus as Inter-Party Advisory Council holds roundtable on Nigeria's democratic sustainability. Plus, Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus sworn in as Bangladesh's interim leader. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu says his administration will ensure that companies engaged in mineral exploration prioritize the health and safety of Nigerians and the host communities. The president stated this while receiving a presentation titled Harnessing the Mining Industry for Enhanced National Security and Development, Strategic Options for Nigeria by 2035 by course 32 participants of the National Defense College, NDC, on Thursday in Abuja. The president also directed security agencies to intensify efforts to crack down on illegal miners across the country. The course 32 participants were tasked with researching topical national issues, and their findings during their 11-month study focused on the mining industry's potential to contribute to national security and development. Responding to the presentation delivered by Colonel Olajide Bello on behalf of the delegation, President Tinubu commended their work and reiterated the importance of diversifying Nigeria's economy. President Tinubu assured the delegation that his administration will ensure the completion of the NDC headquarters in Abuja. Addressing the health implication of exploration activities during an interactive session, the president expressed concern over the well-being of those living near mining areas. In his remarks, Rear Admiral Olumuyiwa Olotu, Commandant NDC, said the institution established in 1992 as the National War College has graduated 2,871 participants since inception. He disclosed that besides participants from 30 African countries, the college has had participants from Bangladesh, Brazil, France, Germany, India, Nepal, and Pakistan. Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus has been sworn in as Bangladesh's interim leader. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the new leader acknowledged that there was a lot of work to be done as he arrived in the country from France.
The 84-year-old Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus arrived at the Bangladesh capital Dhaka from France, greeted by a jubilating crowd.
Ami Mohammed Yunus.
The decision to name Professor Yunus as chief advisor of the interim government followed a meeting between President Mohammed Shahabuddin, military and student leaders. The students had been clear they would not accept a military-led government but wanted Professor Yunus to lead. The hope is that Professor Yunus, described as a banker for the poor, will bring democracy back to Bangladesh after years of autocratic rule. He emphasized the need for discipline as Bangladesh begins to rebuild. Professor Yunus, while addressing newsmen, said it was as if Bangladesh has got a second independence as he called for the restoration of law and order. This is coming days after Sheikh Hasina, the woman who ruled Bangladesh for 15 years, fled to India. She resigned as Prime Minister after weeks of student-led protests, which left hundreds dead, escalating and culminating in calls for her to step down. Bangladesh has been thrown into turmoil in recent weeks, with more than 400 people reported dead after protests began in June, demanding the end of a civil service quota system. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Kenya's President William Ruto has sworn in a reconstituted cabinet as protests resume in the capital, Nairobi. Here again is Uche Ugochukwu with details.
Appointed the Cabinet Secretary of Kenya, do swear.
President William Ruto presided over the swearing-in ceremony of a new cabinet in Nairobi, including 4 ministers from the opposition. Last month, President Ruto dismissed all but one of his cabinet secretaries after weeks of demonstrations sparked by plans to impose levies on commodities. He subsequently nominated 20 secretaries, including opposition leader John Mbadi, as the nation's new head of treasury, who succeed Ngujuna Ngwangu, who held the role for barely 2 years.
I am persuaded that this moment in the life of our nation calls on us to build a strong team of rivals to give our transformation agenda the best chance of success and to enhance inclusivity in our national development.
The president also appointed 4 other opposition leaders as ministers and reappointed 10 secretaries from his previous cabinet.
We stand at the beginning of a new chapter of our country's governance and development. The women and men who have been appointed to serve the nation in the reconstituted cabinet have today embarked on a mission that cannot and must not fail.
Meanwhile, Kenya police fired tear gas in the capital as small groups of protesters gathered on what was billed as a fresh day of action against President William Ruto. The East African nation, which has been one of the most stable in the region, has been rocked by weeks of sometimes deadly protest against President Ruto's 2-year-old administration, mostly led by young Gen Z Kenyans. According to rights groups, at least 60 people have been killed since the protest began in mid-June, with police accused of using excessive force, sometimes firing live bullets, while dozens of people have gone missing. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Away from violent protests, experts at the Climate Evidence to Action Conference in Accra say climate change adaptation efforts must have a grassroots and community focus. This is a major recommendation put forward by them towards promoting active community participation rather than merely receiving policies. Founder of the International Center for Evaluation and Development, Dr. David Emayo, said communities can be empowered to actively participate in creating frameworks for climate change adaptation.
When it comes to climate change adaptation and resilience, as a continent, a lot of work has been done. A lot of knowledge have been generated. We need to be able to synthesize those knowledge, be able to bring it to the level of policymakers. We need to be able to bring it to the level of the citizens as we are facing it. Main word that came here is intersectionality, that it should be inclusive. It's an issue for children, for everybody. Intersectionality, it cuts across all sections, both gender, both religion, both culture, both norms. Therefore, it should be embraced by all.
A powerful earthquake with a magnitude of 7.1 shook southern Japan on Thursday, but no major damage was reported and only relatively minor tsunami waves lashed the coast. The United States Geological Survey had initially reported 2 strong quakes with magnitudes of 6.9 and 7.1, but later said there had only been 1 tremor. The Japan Meteorological Agency also says there was 1 quake with a magnitude of 7.1. Footage shows traffic lights shaking violently in the southeast coast, the surface of the sea wavering from the quake, which lasted between 30 seconds and 1 minute. Reports say 3 people were hurt in Miyazaki. Tsunamis of up to 1 meter were initially expected to arrive in some coastal areas in Kyushu and Shikoku Islands. Japan Meteorological Agency also said on social media platform X that tsunamis will strike repeatedly and advised people not to go to sea or approach the coast until the warning is lifted. In view of the situation, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has instructed officials to provide the public with timely and accurate information on tsunamis and evacuations. United Kingdom's Prime Minister Keir Starmer has vowed not to ease efforts to stop further far-right riots in English towns and cities after more anticipated street violence failed to materialize. The UK leader said the criminal justice system will continue working speedily to convict those already arrested during a week of riots across England and in the Northern Ireland. It was sparked after a judge in Liverpool, North East London, England, jailed several more participants in the violence, which led to attacks on mosques and migrant-related facilities alongside police and other targets.
Is safety and security of our communities. And yes, last night was much better than was expected, but we're not going to give up on our efforts here. That's why it's very important that I continue my discussions, coordinating with law enforcement, with police leaders, to make sure we've got the right officers in the right place, to keep pushing on the criminal justice response. I was very keen that we're able to demonstrate that if you're involved in disorder, within days you'll be in the criminal justice system, and some people starting long terms of imprisonment. That needs to continue, and so that is my sole focus.
Starmer credited the success recorded to police deployed in numbers in the right places, giving reassurance that community is helping to ease the unrest overnight. Reports say instead of rumored far-right gatherings at dozens of sites linked to immigrant support services, thousands of anti-racist and anti-fascist protesters took to the streets. The first Inter-Party Advisory Council roundtable on the role of the judiciary in Nigeria's democratic sustainability has ended in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports that this is in consonance with the vision of IPAC to consolidate and deepen democracy by ensuring an environment conducive for successful elections, political stability, and a peaceful electoral process in Nigeria.
It's the maiden series of the IPAC roundtable. It aims to chart a way forward to deepen the nation's democracy. The Council's chairman, Yusuf Dantale, says the decision to commence the roundtable series with the judiciary arm of government is due to the fact that judiciary is fundamental to the growth of the nation's democracy.
There seems to be the anarchy and rebellion in the temple of justice, conflicting court orders and judgments by courts of quality jurisdiction, as witnessed recently in Rivers State and Kano State, as well as growing a perception of miscarriage of justice by some judgment delivered by election precision tribunal, an appeal court which did not reflect the mandates of the people and led to mass actions in some states.
The judiciary plays a crucial role in Nigeria's democratic sustainability. As the political leaders, we must work collaboratively to strengthen the judiciary, uphold the rule of law, and protect the principles of democracy.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Jibrin Samuel Okutepa, set the pace for the roundtable discussion on the role of the judiciary in Nigeria's democratic sustainability.
The issue of judicial reforms, the role of the electoral process, we have to be able to look at that, because a bundle of work for electoral systems has been given to the judiciary, and that should not be the case.
We expect so much from our judiciary.
Chairmen and representatives of the 19 registered political parties attended the maiden roundtable. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Kano State government says it will work with relevant federal agencies and the organized private sector to tackle the artificial scarcity of essential commodities in major markets. Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf disclosed this during a meeting with members of the Kano business community. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
In this chamber are representatives of wholesalers of essential commodities in Kano. They are on Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf's invitation to find way out of incessant price hike that is making it difficult for many families to put food on the table.
The prices of foodstuffs were raised to an unprecedented level beyond the capacity or the reach of these innocent people.
However, the traders blamed inadequate supplies and activities of middlemen for the hardship being experienced. They also appealed for investigation into the closure of most flour mills and other food processing industries in Kano.
We call on the Kano State government to invite those company producing the food item, more particularly flour, spaghetti, and sugar and vegetable oil, to come and have some branches here.
We're going to discuss it with the Minister of Power to see how best our businessmen can be assisted in that regard.
The governor also mandated the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission's chairman, Moyi Magaji, to investigate and apply the rules on those causing artificial scarcity and hyperinflation. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We take a break.
This season, enjoy all the better moments with GoTV. Your football party GoTV, they give you better deal of decoder plus GoTenna for only 19,900 naira. Make you enjoy correct football action live on Top Super Sport. GoTV, love it.
Thanks for staying with us. Youths in Kogi State have been commended for rejecting the temptation to participate in the national protest. Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo, who spoke through his special assistant Richard Otitoleke at a press conference in Abuja, also commended the Kogi New Generation Initiative for their mobilization to ensure that youths in the state key into the various programs of government in education, agriculture and technology to better their lives. He noted that their trust in the leadership demonstrated during this period will not be taken for granted. The group acknowledged that while the youths of Kogi State are not unaware of the economic challenges of the nation, it is important to appreciate the level of maturity and cooperation displayed by the youths and the people of Kogi State to embrace peace and trust in the leadership of both federal and state governments.
The leadership of this nation under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken some steps. What we want to see is action. And practically, those ones have been demonstrated by ensuring that in the next few months, the refineries are going to kickstart and they'll be working so that the fuel price will go down considerably. And nevertheless, we enjoy all youths to be peaceful and law-abiding. And remember, we can always protest only when we have a country to do so.
Traditional institutions play a pivotal role in ensuring peaceful coexistence with a constitutional role that will restore this highly revered institution to its pride of place. Many of the teething problems bedeviling the nation will easily be nipped in the bud before escalating. Etsunupe, His Eminence Alhaji Yahaya Abubakar at the public lecture organized by the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs on Traditional Authority and National Integration, says the experiences of the monarchs are germane to the indivisibility of the country Nigeria. Joel Wabola has more.
The success is recorded by traditional institutions in effectively managing their subjects dates back to pre-colonial era. Even in the colonial era, the British government relied majorly on their wealth of experience to administer the country. At this public discourse on traditional authority and national integration, Esunupe, His Eminence Alhaji Yahaya Abubakar, says like the proverbial prodigal son, it is time to pay serious attention to some of the alternative solutions that made Nigeria of our founding fathers livable for all. The guest lecturer notes that the National Council of Traditional Rulers should be recognized beyond just advisory role alone.
The philosophy of unity, security, economic and other challenges bedeviling Nigeria need the positive contributions of all and sundry to contain them. The traditional institution is perhaps the most veritable tool to be used in this regard.
For the Director General of NIIA, Professor Ehosa Osagai, and other speakers, including traditional rulers, Nigeria cannot afford to relegate the oldest institution to the background, especially in view of their influence at the grassroots.
We need to acknowledge in the constitutional review, maybe it's part of what should be discussed.
They are more conscious of the security because they know everybody within the community.
While conversations like this, which seeks to strengthen traditional institutions, continue, stakeholders agreed that there is need for wider consultations to make Nigeria's democratic structure align with the principles that speak to our national identity. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
The Nigeria Immigration Service has suspended an assistant superintendent of immigration to ASI2 of Brevero C. Ufuma, deployed to the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The officer was caught in a now viral video titled, "This is How Immigration Officers Treat Tourists in Nigeria," soliciting financial gratification from a traveler. A statement by the Comptroller General of Immigration, Kemi Nandap, indicates that the officer does not reflect the values and ethics of professionalism upheld by the service and undermines ongoing reforms aimed at enhancing the service standards. The statement recalls that electronic gates, e-gates, are being installed at all of the nation's international airports to facilitate smoother travel for all passengers and aims to prevent incidents like the one involving Obrevero C. Ufoma. The statement adds that the indefinite suspension of the officer is pending the outcome of disciplinary procedures. The Nigeria Immigration Service reiterates its commitment to identifying and removing corrupt elements within its ranks, in line with its zero tolerance for corruption policy. Nigeria is competing favorably with the rest of the world in the media space by constantly exploring available opportunities provided by technology to drive innovation. Former Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed made the observation when he declared open the exhibition conference at the third edition of the Nigeria Electronic Media Content Exhibition and Awards, NEMSIA, organized by the Electronic Media Content Owners Association of Nigeria, held in Lagos. Adeola Komiakere reports.
Data by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics shows that the creative industry in the second quarter of 2023 contributed about 2.54% to the nation's gross domestic product and is projected to grow up to 10% in the nearest future, making it an important sector of the Nigerian economy that has increasingly provided employment opportunities for Nigerians. The ever-evolving Nigerian entertainment content market is using this conference to conceptualize ideas, collaborate, and promote the Nigerian brand. This year's conference focuses on leveraging technology to grow the creative economy.
Let us let people know why you can still remain in your business, why you should not rely too much on it, so that technology will not be the only one thinking for you.
Former Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed says the industry, which is self-sustaining, provides a variety of broadcast content for every category of consumers.
As a Minister of Information and Culture, we amended the broadcasting code in such a manner to give preference to local content in all forms of broadcasting.
The use of AI in creating content and deployment of strategic tools for business expansion were some of the discussed at the conference.
Not the new hardware equipment that matters, but how software interfaces with what you already have to have a better production.
Skit makers have kind of shown the world that you don't need a big camera to tell your story, even if it's a short form story.
AI will not go to negotiate for you. You still need to use and engage your brain.
NEMSIA rewards content and productions that are educational, innovative, locally relevant, and reflective of African Nigerians' common values and cultural diversity. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
Resilience, loyalty, and grace are tagged the bedrock of success in life and a force to propel one to go far in life. A golden word of advice from retired Deputy Corps Marshal B.C. Kazim while delivering the 11th valedictory lecture series of the Corps tagged How I Thrived Working Closely with 3 Corps Marshals in the Federal Road Safety Corps. Oyeyemi Ajayi has more.
It was indeed a time of reflection for the former Deputy Corps Marshal Training, BC Kazim, who chronicled his journey from being the first Assistant Route Commander to rise through the ranks to becoming a Deputy Corps Marshal of the Corps, as well as the first ever Corps Public Education Officer to work with 3 Corps Marshals, aside being the first person to serve as head of operations at the zonal level for the longest period of time.
For those of you still in service, I urge you to always remain loyal and committed to our country, agency and superiors. If you are considered disloyal or far to undermine your superiors, you will not go far.
While commending the retiree, the Minister of Interior, Olubumitunji Ojo, and the Corps Marshal, Sheikh Mohammed, described him as an embodiment of charisma, leadership, and an accomplished media guru who goes any length and stops at nothing to ensure he achieves everything he sets out to do.
However, DCM, your unwavering commitment and invaluable contribution to the Federal Safety Corps have been nothing short of exemplary and extraordinary.
You didn't shut the door against future generations. You opened the door for better participation in the future. That is a legacy. You have created a legacy.
And I want to believe that if those he left behind can emulate the way and manner he conducted himself while in service, then the Federal Safety Corps will be better for it.
BC Kazim, popularly referred to in his circle as the Jagaban of FRSC, joined the Corps in 1988, and his loyalty, dedication and hard work earned him the role of the Corps Public Education Officer, a position he held for more than 12 years before being elevated to the position of the Deputy Corps Marshal Training. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
And that's the news from NTA International. I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu, and on our sign language has been Precious Ozemene. Bye.